All right, we got music going. I think the show's ready to go. We're actually starting on time. Yes, I think we are. All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I'm Weasel from FoodMexSource.com, and it feels like I haven't been on the Mexican Soccer Show for a very long time since I was traveling in Vancouver. We got the Ingeniero giving us the dubstep music that many of you have talked about. It seems like it's a rave. I know Cesar definitely likes it. But we'll be we'll be talking about all of Mexico versus Canada today, the whole entire show. No Liga MX. We're taking a break from that. Normally there because there wasn't any games except for a makeup game. But this will be the last time we mention Liga MX, and I'm sure Johnny's a little upset because of that. But that's why he's on the show. Like I said, this is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, and especially the eliminatorias, the qualifiers that are happening right now. If you missed it, if you've been living under a rock, Mexico did play Canada in Vancouver in a historic match for Canadians. 54,374 almas came into the Whitecap Stadium there at BC Place. They packed it. It was crazy. The atmosphere was amazing. We'll talk about El Color. Then we'll go into and discuss all that happened during the game, what's been happening the last two entrenamientos there at Centro de Alto Rendimiento in Mexico City. And then we'll be talking about the game tomorrow that will give either Juan Carlos Osorio the pass if he's able to win the game into already the hexagonal play, which will be coming up next year, a very, very crucial year for Mexico. But before we get into all of the Mexico-Canada madness, let's go ahead and talk to our guest for today. Give us their analysis, their expertise on today's show. So we'll go with Mr. Johnny Rico, who I'm a little bit surprised that you have actually owned something that's de la selección aside from American jersey. You have the brand new, La Chamarra. I like it. I'm sorry. I was a little surprised. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing good. I get this bad rap that I don't like the Mexican national team.
I don't know.
I just
Why?
I prioritize Club America over the Mexican national team, but I don't hate it. I still like the Mexican national team.
Okay.
They're a nice second place in my heart.
All right, for the record, Johnny Rico doesn't hate the Mexican national team, only when you take away its coaches. We'll go over to Mr. Cesar Hernandez. Cesar, who, definitely say thank you. For whatever reason we're not on, you're able to host and do an amazing job. On today's show, it's kind of funny because we're trying to figure out who's going to go on and jump on, and Tom Marshall couldn't make it, Naive couldn't make it, and Cesar was brought up to the big leagues on our WhatsApp chat. Saying
I was warming up on the sidelines. I got a little excited once Naive said he couldn't jump on the show, so I took off my bib. I'm here. Obviously, I'm not set up. I don't have any cool background just yet because I just still getting my stuff adjusted into my new place. But I'm here. I'm excited. Excited to talk about El Tri and just get into all the details about the match against Canada and the rematch tomorrow.
Yes, rematch, as many people are calling it. A lot of Canadians are going to be watching, seeing what their team can do if it's historic. Benito Floro already said that it's not a mission impossible. They can actually do it. But if you see someone else on the chat that's brand new, this is Cecilia Olmo. She is a journalist here in Canada. Is going to be joining us to give us everything that about the Canadian team. Luckily, is in la Ciudad de Mexico, so she might have some biases too. So we got to make sure that we get people that know the team, but at the same time, are fans deep within their hearts. Not like Tom. But yes, Ceci, how are you? Thank you for jumping on with us. We see in the background your Vancouver Whitecaps FC, so that is proof that she is in Canada. We didn't just grab anybody, but Ceci, our viewers love to get to know who is on the show. So tell us a little bit about you. Why are you in Canada? You're Vancouver. You're from Mexico City. Give us your life story as much as you can.
Well, it's gonna be a little bit short because I don't want to take over the entire show. But first of all, thank you everyone. Thank you, Wisa, for inviting me to join your show. When you invited me, I was super excited. I was really looking forward to this day. And yeah, for sure, I came to Canada 7 years ago. I was a sports journalist in Mexico, and I still am. But I worked for newspapers and radio stations back home. And then when I moved to Canada, well, I was trying to get my immigration sorted out and all that. So I left my journalistic career aside for quite a while, but I was still working as a freelance writer. And now that I became a permanent resident, well, I'm all hands on deck on sports and all that. And I'm super super happy to be covering the Mexican soccer team anywhere I can go to. And yeah, that's a little bit of my story.
Wow. I mean, this is quite an intro. Usually when we ask other people to do an intro, they're, yeah, I'm here, whatever, and this is really fast. This is why we bring such great. I want to first thank Ceci publicly here. If it wasn't for Ceci over the last 3 days, I really couldn't have done a lot of the things that I did with the Mexican soccer show. In the backside, she was helping me with the periscopes. As you know, in Canada, idiot me, we can't use our cell phones, and I just didn't even think about that through coverage. So I used hers through Periscope. So thank you so much, Ceci. You helped me so much with interviews. We got Rafa Marquez and also Miguel Ayun, which we'll be talking a little bit about that on your interview with Miguel Ayun in English, and then all the madness that went on. So I'm glad that you're on the show, amigos y amigas. Definitely will bring us some insight here with Ceci on.
I don't mean to throw in a free sponsorship, but if you had T-Mobile, you could use your cell phone in Mexico and Canada.
Well, I don't.
I've heard that actually.
I don't.
But I don't. I don't either.
Verizon, where you only get charged $2 a day. I only get charged $2 a day to go down to Mexico. And I think you can do the same for Canada. Let's just talk about cell phones.
I think it was
There are cell phone plans for the next hour.
AT&T, I think it was $30 to add 120 megabytes, which I went through in about like 2 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
So
I love Verizon's and I love new cell phones. If you're listening, Verizon, just a little shout out there.
All right. Well, let's keep going because I know we have a lot to talk about already. So again, thank you, Ceci, for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yes. Let's go on and talk about a little bit before. I know many of you are wondering, what happened over there, but I have to mention. I know this is all about football, but just the amazing atmosphere that happened in Vancouver, which I traveled to a lot of games in the United States. Don't get me wrong, the atmosphere inside the stadium, but before the stadium, the day of, Pancho Villa's Army, and I'm sporting their shirt because they gave me this awesome shirt. Where is it? I'm a soldado. I thought I'd be some kind of general or something like that, but no, I gotta start at the bottom.
You gotta work your way up.
Not yet.
You gotta work your way up.
I gotta work my way up. But just gotta thank them because not only obviously bringing a lot of people from the United States and all around the country, San Antonio. I saw people from El Paso, Juarez, San Diego, Phoenix, that they all went through PVA, but at the same time organizing there in Vancouver, the march from the from one of the, I think it was a museum, which is about a mile away, to the stadium. And it was amazing because obviously not only them, all the Mexicans around the, in Canada kind of that went to the game, and then a lot of people from Mexico that flew in to the game. I think it was around 18 to 20,000 Mexicans that were there at the stadium. And in that march, there's a picture that PVA kind of posted about around 3,000 to 5,000 marching in the streets. To tell you, they had to block the cars from coming, talking to the police officers. It was well coordinated. They stopped traffic, and it was just an amazing sight to see with the mariachis heading out there, everyone taking pictures, and just the Canadian people. I would have thought that people would be upset. You're driving downtown trying to get somewhere, and you see 1,000, 2,000 people marching through the streets. I think you'd be a little bit upset that you have to wait, but no, these people were out of their cars taking pictures with everybody. Amazing atmosphere. If that would have happened in Phoenix, Arizona, blocking the street, well, what would have happened.
I hear Canadians are too polite for their own good.
They're amazingly polite. But
Let
Cecilia,
me tell you
live
something.
in Canada. Tell me, is this something? I mean, people were so nice. They were taking pictures. I kept even talking to the cop, and he's like, my main priority is that you guys are safe, and you guys have fun, and I redirect you to the same place. Cecilia,
actually, in Canada, safety is always first. You must know that. And yes, of course, Canadians are very polite. And they were actually really, really excited about this match. They were pumping up since weeks ago. Like, the media has been pumping up this game for so long that all Canadians were waiting to see the Mexican soccer team play in Vancouver. Actually, the reason why the Canadian Soccer Association decided to hold the game in Vancouver versus Toronto, it was because of the final from the from the Women's World Cup that was held at BC Place, because it was an amazing atmosphere and they wanted to have kind of like the same vibe for this match between Mexico and Canada. So that's why they decided to host the game here in Vancouver. But yeah, all the, like as you said, we saw all the people were so excited. Their match from the Vancouver Art Gallery and made all the way down to Robson Street to finally reach the stadium. It was a great atmosphere, and obviously the mariachi band, the Pancho Villa's Army people, everything was just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously, I'm a huge biased Mexico fan, and anyone is, good for me. I like to see Mexico win, whether it's a friendly or not. But there's like 1% of me that felt a little bad about Canada losing, because they're such a likable country. They're such a likable people. I almost felt like they should have gotten a goal there. Like, Talavera should just let one go in. Like, come on, man. Some of those shots
Not
weren't
even the offside one where I was offside and the guy shot and Talavera's like, no, you're not getting that in there.
I'm getting this clean sheet, man. Now's my time to shine. Ochoa is struggling in Europe, so.
Well, however, actually, you're right, because everyone after Canada beat Honduras here at BC Place, they were expecting Canada to do better versus Mexico. Obviously, you cannot compare Honduras and Mexico for sure, but Canadians were at least expecting one goal from the Canadian soccer team, and it didn't happen. I actually felt bad as well, but for me, I'm biased as well. I'm go Mexico, and I wanted the 3-0, and it happened.
With Talavera in goal, I was kind of expecting a Canadian goal as well.
Oh, come on, Johnny, come on.
Especially with those, but I mean, that was the color. That's what we saw. If you ever get a chance to go to eliminatoria in Canada, I think you won't see that atmosphere anywhere else. I'm thinking of qualifier, right? And someone that can pack, if it's 50,000, let's say 40% of the stadium was a visiting team in a World Cup qualifier. I really don't think you see that anywhere. Anywhere in the world. I know maybe in Europe, but I don't think the French, the Spanish can let the French in, and 40% of their ticket sales went to the opposing team. And even in the U.S., obviously with Columbus, you don't ever see Mexicans in Columbus. Hopefully this year with Pancho Villa's Army, we're able to get in and have some fans there. But at the same time, it doesn't happen very often. And I think the Canadians were expecting that, and a historic match for them, because it broke a record for a national team in Canada, and in any competition, not just soccer, and it could be anything else. So it was just electric. Definitely try to make it out and try to go in what's going there. But Cecilia, anything else around the match? After we left, I left early on Saturday morning. Did you talk to anybody or anybody or your neighbors? I know you said you live in a very peaceful neighborhood, but after we left, was it all right? It's gone, they've forgotten, or are they still talking about the game that's coming up on Tuesday? What's going on?
Well, actually, the media, for sure, the media is still talking about it. However, the fans are a little bit quiet. They are hurting, actually. They're hurting a lot because of what happened at BC Place. But they are actually looking forward for whatever is going to happen tomorrow. Canadians have a lot of expectation on the match tomorrow. They are hoping at least to get away with 1 point at the Azteca Stadium, which is absolutely, well, it's going to be very difficult for sure. But actually, fans in Vancouver, they just kind of like forgotten what happened. If Canada would have won versus Mexico, it would have been a different story. But it's like most of the fans are just like, yeah, it's another game that we lose against Mexico, and I guess they are just trying to heal that wound.
Yep. Well,
I don't know if tomorrow's game is going to help, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to help for sure. But at least they are expecting to get away with 1 point. Out of all the people that I've talked to in the media and other Canadian fans, they actually think that they can get a point at Azteca Stadium, which is going to be very, very difficult. And everyone is talking about the atmosphere at Azteca Stadium. Actually, former players like Jason Davos. I had the chance to speak with him, and he was telling me, you know what, the Azteca Stadium is the most intimidating stadium I played in. And I truly believe that. Julian de Guzman also said that as soon as he arrived in Mexico City. And I think Canadians know how difficult it's going to be the challenge at the Azteca Stadium. However, they still have hopes for that one point.
Well, there you go. Benito Flores saying that it's not impossible, like we mentioned in the beginning of the match. So we'll go into a little bit about what's coming up. But let's talk finally the match that happened on Friday night. 54,000 people, 5 fans infiltrating the field, 5 Canadian fans. Let me tell you, 5 Canadian fans, not Mexican
five fans and only 4 pairs of pants.
Yeah, with only 4 pairs of pants, which we were a little bit away from that, but we got some great pictures that I posted one. But lots of fun. So let's go ahead and talk about 3-0, which, you know what, I'll be the one, honestly, to say that I didn't think it was going to be that type of game, 3-0. I really thought maybe Canada would bring something else before the game. Now, when I was actually there talking to the players, I got to talk to one of the starters, Ricketts, who, aside from from the press conference and just kind of seeing the team and they're practicing, it looked like he doesn't even have a team. I'm like, this team isn't going to score a single goal. They're looking for players like Scott Arfield, who's never been to Canada, who just touched down in Canada about a week before the game, and because he has his dad lived in Toronto, he's able to play for the team through that way, kind of what the U.S. national team did with a lot of different players around the last couple of years. So I was like, there's no way this team's going to score, but 3-0, I thought it was one of the best games that I've seen from Juan Carlos Osorio's squad. They worked from the beginning to the end. Yes, we know the opposition wasn't the best, but if we saw this team against Senegal, if we saw even the 2 qualifiers, it looked like it took a little bit of a while before they were able to score. In fact, many people praising his subs that were the ones that were the difference makers. Having Chucky Lozano in, many people were saying Fabian was gonna start, maybe a Raúl Jiménez, but have him in and give him the confidence, and not only that, making a difference in the game. So overall, I think it feels good to see this Mexico. I'm not going to get on this, this is the best team that we've seen in a long time. I'm not going to get on we're going to, breeze by the Hex next month. But overall, the goals were good. Aside from the postes 3 or 4 times, that could have gone in. It happens. Yes, Canada was a little bit dangerous at the beginning with some missed defensive mistakes. But I thought it felt good. It feels like you're like, I feel good about this match.
I mean,
what are your things? Tell me,
Cesar. It feels good, but the more I think about it, the more I get worried. To be perfectly honest, as every day kind of keeps going on and on, I keep thinking more less about the goals and more so about the worries I have in the defense. I think if Canada was more on point with their attack, Mexico could have easily allowed 1, 2, maybe even 3 goals. I think, overall, it's a good win for Mexico. It's vital. It's against Canada in the World Cup qualifying. But I was a little let down by mostly Canada because, I interviewed Julian de Guzman beforehand, and he said this is going to be the most important match for some of these guys on the Canadian national team. This is going to be the most important match of their career. And he said this is one of the best Canadian sides he's ever been a part of. So through that, I was a little let down by the Canadian side, and you can see through the attack. Some of those misses, it was just, I'm not going to say, maybe they're just borderline embarrassing, some of those shots that they had. And with Mexico, I think there's a lot of positive you can say about the attack. I think the front 3 of, especially with Tecatito and Chicharito and Irving Lozano was great, and especially Chicharito and Lozano. But there was definitely some worries in the defense, and I think obviously there were some problems with Rafa Marquez, and I think maybe this game might signify. We've been talking about it for a while, but maybe this will truly be the end of Rafa Marquez's career with the national team.
Yes, and I think a lot of people were expecting a better Canada, but what do we always say when Mexico plays? Either when it's a weak team, they didn't take advantage, they should have won 10-0, they only got 1 goal in. Hugo Sanchez always saying if we had 10 opportunities, we should have at least scored 5 because 50% of the ratio, and we did. We had some great opportunities. Cecilia, to you as Canada, did they disappoint their crowd, or was this expected?
This was expected for sure. However, I had the chance to speak with Julian de Guzman as well, and he was actually telling me that they think that they couldn't score because of the mistakes that Canada made, because they definitely saw some options, as you were saying, Cesar, because the defense was not very solid and very strong. And Julian de Guzman definitely saw that there were some chances. However, actually, it was Scott Arfield who got really close to score. However, he didn't hit the ball properly, and it didn't end up in a goal. But actually, he was also telling me that the Mexican soccer team was able to score because all the mistakes that the defense line from the Canadian national team committed, right? So that's a good point that Cesar is making, because I think Canada could have scored easily 2 goals to Mexico. Not easily, but if it wasn't because of the lack
Talent.
of talent, right? But definitely they had their chances. They had their
I
chances.
mean,
You saw it.
let's
They
all
had
talk
two
about
chances.
that Laren shot, just like, oh man.
It was
And
it
this is a
was
player, this
above
is a
the
player
field.
who I've actually grown to appreciate, like through watching MLS, and everybody was talking about him, and then that was his big opportunity, and oh man, did he just
Oh, don't
whip
defame
that
yourself
shot?
like that. Don't defame yourself by admitting you watch MLS.
Uh,
Johnny,
Well,
I
I
love
watch
MLS.
MLS as
I love
well,
MLS, Johnny.
but
we have actually two MLS
but
fans.
no,
Canada.
definitely. I think Canada had two clear options, and they didn't take advantage of it.
No, they didn't take advantage of it, and it happens in the game. I think somebody's like, well, Canada would have been up 2-0. Yeah, if Mexico put in all the ones that were really close, they would have been a 6-2 match then.
Exactly.
And how we do that. But if you're looking at results from Canada, they played the U.S. earlier this year. It wasn't like they got blown out. It was a 1-0 win for the U.S. I'm not saying that the U.S. is at its greatest moment. They also played Guatemala, which they were able to beat Guatemala last year and in a friendly, and they played teams like Ghana. They beat Puerto Rico 3-0, so it's not like this is a team that was coming up. I thought so. You had to give some merit that Mexico was able to take and do well. I think Canada gave them way too many spaces. It looks like Benito Floro didn't see what Osorio does with the wings. He loves going out, and almost every goal that's been happening, it's your typical go through the defensive
Uh,
mid over out to the wings and find a
yeah,
pared or find a way.
hey, I'm glad you bring up the wings by Juan Carlos Osorio, because he did put in Lozano and Corona on the wings. It did provide, you know, depth and send a lot of dangerous crosses were sent in. But I feel one aspect of that 4-3-3 was very counterproductive. Having that formation, you just cut the wings out of a guy like Paul Aguilar. Paul Aguilar is Mexico's best right back. He
Mm-hmm.
goes up and down that wing so well. He sends in so many dangerous crosses. He takes on defenders, and I think having Irving Lozano in front of him kind of really held him back. I think Tecatito Corona pushed into the middle a little more, which allowed Layun to be able to go up the left wing. Not so much on the right. Paulo Aguilar, I felt, was held back by Osorio's formation. And that's just one of many reasons I got right now to not be as excited as most Mexico fans are right now about this Osorio start to his tenure as Mexican manager.
Well, Osorio actually switched Paul Aguilar and Layun, because Layun was playing on the other side, on the right side, and Paul Aguilar was playing on the left side. However, Layun's favorite position is the left, and he got the chance to play on the left side with Osorio, and he was able to have more movement through the midfield. But Paul Aguilar was a little bit, as you said, like held back because of the position he was playing in. I think Layun got used to the left side more quickly than Paul Aguilar to the right side.
What I'll say about Paul Aguilar, I think it was just an off game by him. I think I will actually agree with John. I think he is our strongest right back right now at the moment. I know someone on Twitter asked people, if they had any questions for us, and someone asked, like, is Paul Aguilar Mexico's weakest link in this top squad? And I would have to disagree with that. And I think, I know, it was just an off game from the player. And I'm in favor of the 4-3-3 formation. I think if we continue with this formation, because I know he's more so, of a wing back, likes to push forward. I think maybe he can get used to this 4-3-3 formation. But as I mentioned earlier, I think it was just an off game from him.
I have some audio from Miguel Ayun speaking to us in English, speaking to Ceci, asking him a question about his preference on left and right, which is, I think, a great answer that he has. Let's see if we are able to get that.
You already answered
You guys
how
hear
did
that?
you feel about playing in a different position today, but could you say that again in English, please?
Sure. For me, it's not a different position because I usually play on the left side in Porto. I was playing here on the right side, but now I'm pretty comfortable with the things I did in pitch. But also I can work on the right side, so I have no problem to play on each side if the mister decides, and I'm just trying to do it very well every single match.
Thank you very much.
Miguel, ¿cómo estás? Buenas noches.
There it is. Pretty much saying that he's got
No,
no
if
problem.
my memory doesn't, my memory serves me correct. Ever since the Club America days, he's been playing on the left side. So it's been years since he's ever played on the right side. And the first goal came by a Miguel Ayun cross from the left with his left foot to the head of Chicharito.
Which is
Yeah,
great.
no, I think that's
right.
That is where I think that's more of his natural position. I mean, that's right now he's the assist leader in Portugal, and
Yeah,
with Porto he plays as a left back. So
If anyone was to ask me today, what is Layun's natural position, I'd say left wing back.
Left wing, yeah.
Interesting. Well, there you go. What else from the game that you guys liked? Was there anyone that what do you have to? Obviously, Cesar, you do you're rating the player, and you do a great job with for ESPN FC. Who's on the low end?
some of the most positive things.
What can we work on? Or what are some guys that maybe?
Wow.
Or was this all positives all around?
Well, the obvious one, I think the obvious problem was Rafa Marquez. I thought he could have before the game. I did say, what, I love this formation. Let's see what we could do right there in that defensive mid position. Because I thought maybe if we push him a little bit forward, give him a little bit less defensive responsibilities, we'd be able to do a good job. But that guy did nothing the first 45 minutes. I know Osorio said that he's not going to start tomorrow, and that is something he said earlier too. He's not going to start tomorrow because there's an injury problem, there's injury worries. So maybe that was something that affected him in the game beforehand. But if I'm going to point someone out that just completely let me down, it was Rafa Marquez in that position. And I think in tomorrow's game we're going to see Jesus Molina in that defensive mid position. Other than that, I think another player who let me down, I would have to say it's Diego Reyes. I think there were moments in the defensive line where he did not look that confident, and I think that there's a chance tomorrow. Maybe we'll see what happens. You can never really predict with Osorio, but I think there's a chance that we'll see Nestor Araujo starting in his spot. I don't think Osorio would want to take out Moreno. Moreno has a little bit more of a defensive presence than Reyes, but I think there's a chance. Yeah, you'll see Santos Laguna's Nestor Araujo right there. So I'd point out those two players, and I know some people disagree with me on this, but I wasn't that impressed by Tecatito. I know he scored the goal. I know he's a part of that attacking formation, but I just didn't think he had that much of an influence in the game. Maybe I could be wrong, and maybe it was because he wasn't getting that many passes.
The goal out. Take the goal out. And I know it's horrible saying take the goal out, but towards the end, when he had a little more freedom, and when Juan Carlos Osorio said to I kind of was looking at Juan Carlos Osorio kind of telling everybody to calm down in the last 15, 20 minutes. You're up 3-0. Let's not get hurt. We do have a game coming up 3 days from now, and it looks like Tecatito got it's okay, so it's my turn to do the Cristiano Ronaldo moves around and try to get something out. But we've seen him get a lot of space, and he was able to score. But in the beginning of the match, during the main, I don't think that I even asked Ricardo Mayorga from ESPN was sitting next to me, and I was like, well, where's Tecatito been? And he's like, yeah, his match not his greatest game, but then towards the end, he was able to make an impact and score.
I mean, Tecatito was actually, he's been getting less and less minutes in recent weeks for Porto, actually. So,
yeah,
I don't know if Luis is talking or no. Oh, sorry, I was just saying, yeah, he's getting less and less minutes for Porto in recent weeks. I think, my argument is I think he needs a little bit of a break. I think he's been very busy since last summer. I think he's put in a lot of minutes for the national team and he went straight to Porto after Twente and immediately became a starter. So I think he's kind of like Hector Herrera. I think he needs a little bit of a break. But, we'll see. Obviously, he's an extremely talented player with an immense amount of potential. So
Ceci, you were saying I heard in your tone of voice that you were like, no, I disagree with you. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
Well, actually, no. What you guys are saying, it's true for sure. He needs a break, but I think he did his best on Friday versus Canada. He was able to escape the Canadian defense line through the right wing, and he was able to cross a couple of passes to the center, and he was able to create more opportunities for the team. Probably he was not at his best, and probably we didn't see the best of him. But definitely, I think he tried a couple of times in the first half, and obviously he got his star during the game. But I think he was a little quiet, but he wasn't too bad.
Man of the match for you, Ceci, when we were talking after the game, walking by, you said Miguel Layún, right?
Definitely. For me, was Miguel Ayun. I was very, very impressed with what he did. As I was saying before, he was able to actually keep his position behind, but also go through the midfield and give a couple of passes through the midfield. And he was, I think he tried twice in the first half from a distance, and he missed, but at least he was trying to shot from the distance.
No.
So for me, he did a fantastic job. Great effort on Miguel Ayun.
I would have definitely say that Miguel Layún, even Chicharito, add him in there, Chucky Lozano, which is great to see. You know, obviously having strikers as men of the game match. What Chicharito did, you know, coming back, he didn't play the traditional 9 role. If you see the second goal, he scored on his first one, which is a great pass and even beautiful header for Chicharito. But then what he did in that pared with Chucky Lozano, and we saw him kind of take that role a little bit behind the striker, which is interesting to see if what's going to happen tomorrow, if he's going to back up Raúl Jiménez almost on that, you know, Giovanni and Oribe Peralta role, where he was able to help out, and you saw Chucky Lozano get, you know, give that pared over to him, and a beautiful pass over. So I'm liking what Chicharito is doing.
Chicharito.
What Chicharrones is doing up there.
Chicharrones is doing, but yes, no. So it's interesting to see. Johnny, I'll ask you: do we see a different team? This Juan Carlos. Do we already see the hand of Juan Carlos Osorio with this team?
You know, we do see something different, and I can't tell right now if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I was very much a big fan of what Miguel Herrera was doing with the Mexican national team. I believed in the Herrera project, and right now I don't know what to think of Juan Carlos Osorio project. You've heard the saying, "Fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me," and this stage of the World Cup qualifiers already fooled us all once in thinking Chepo de la Torre was this genius of a manager because he took Mexico to a he completed this phase of the qualifiers with a perfect record and moved on to the hexagonal and almost left us out of a World Cup. So I'm not going to be fooled again by this stage of the World Cup qualifiers. I think Osorio's stage to prove himself is going to be the Copa America. That's where it will be decided if he's doing a good job, if he's not doing a good job. Because honestly, this stage, you know, I'm not going to fall for it again. And there's a couple decisions that I question. One, like Cesar was pointing out, Rafa Marquez. He points out Rafa Marquez. I point out the guy that put in Rafa Marquez. It's obvious to everyone that Rafa Marquez is not at the level to be playing international World Cup qualifying matches. You know, he's barely getting any playing time at Atlas. This is his retirement tour at Atlas. He returned to his home club to say goodbye. So why are we putting him?
He actually said that he was only helping the national team to get to the next round. He said it in the conference, and he, like, as much as we all would love to see him playing further, he was very clear on that. And he said, maybe I'm not gonna reach even the next stage, but definitely I want to help my team to make it to the next round. And obviously the injury that he was suffering from at the it was at the very beginning of the first half. It definitely changed things for him.
I think it's fine to have Marcus on. I know that it was picked up, but I don't think I think even having him in the Copa America is there with the leadership. You've seen a lot of teams bring in these, especially Rafa Marquez. Is not like he's still playing. You see he's not playing as much as in Atlas, but Tell me another, someone else that he's taken the spot in on the team on the 23-man roster for defense. I don't see anybody that you're like, wow.
I'd rather see Jonathan Dos
having his
Santos there,
leadership.
Gallito there.
No.
Yeah,
I'm talking.
Jonathan. Go ahead.
I don't think he'll take his spot though. I think Jonathan will start. I'm not talking about starting. I'm talking about on the final 23-man list. Having his leadership there and the way that people kind of like, all right, guys, this is what we're gonna do, and in the locker rooms and commitment there. I'm not saying on the field, but bringing him, I don't think it's a bad idea. And at the same time, let's not remember Juan Carlos Osorio just took this team over and didn't have the 10 friendlies before the qualifiers. His first games were qualifiers, and this is how he's seeing the team. I like the fact that he's not calling the players that are not on form. And I like that, Rafa Marquez is there, and maybe this was his last game. Juan Carlos Osorio got to see him, got to train with him, got to talk to him, got to see him through a whole camp and seeing what he can do. And maybe this is the last time he talks. He learned, he saw the guys, and it's time to Guardado. It's great to see both of them in the press conference where Rafa Marquez and Guardado are both there. And it looks like Rafa Marquez is just like, all right, this is all I have to give in this next, 2 games. I'll play as much as I can, but let me give you guys I mean, Chucky Lozano was 4 years old when Rafa Marquez debuted.
As far as leadership.
But also, I don't know if you agree with me, but something very important. We were at the press conference, Wizo and I, and they were Guardado was there, and they were talking about who was going to be the captain for the game, right? And then Rafa Marquez said, well, you'll know who's going to be, like joking. I think Rafa Marquez is a huge icon for the Mexican soccer team. He's a great leader, and that's one of the things that Rafa Marquez can give to the team nowadays. Obviously, he's not at his best, and he's suffering from a couple of injuries, but he's a great leader. People follow him. Like players on the field, on the pitch, they are aligned with Rafa Marquez, and I think that's something important. And he is very well aware about the fact that he's not gonna make it to the World Cup for sure, and he's not gonna make it past this year. But he's a great leader, and that's something that we can definitely give it to Rafa.
As far as leadership, I like what Guardado has done. He's held the captain's armband since the World Cup, which Miguel Herrera gave to him, and I think the way he's carried himself in Europe, Guardado, I think that does bring a lot of credibility to his leadership role in the Mexican national team. I think from now on, the best thing Rafa Marquez could do for the Mexican national team is tell Juan Carlos Osorio, you're crazy in even considering me. Please don't ever call me up again.
I think if there's a spot open for him on the roster, I think this last game proved that he's not. I think the last game proved that he's. Go ahead.
There's plenty of other center midfielders that can.
Jonathan Dos Santos injured, isn't he?
Yes. But Jonathan Dos Santos is a little versatile. He could be an attacking midfielder or a defensive midfielder. What I was just saying
Jonathan Dos Santos, Gallito Vázquez is not informed to play. It's not like he took somebody's spot for them to, So there's a there's a plethora of defensive mids out there. I think this was a perfect. It's Canada, guys. It's okay to bring Rafa in and then.
No, I agree. Honestly, I thought it could have worked too. I thought it could have worked too. But as I was mentioning, I think what this game proved was that if we're gonna call up Rafa again, if we have a spot for him in the roster to bring him up, I don't think he should be playing on the field. I think he should be more so of a locker room kind of guy. He should be a leader on the sidelines. I don't think he should be in the starting 11 anymore. I think that's the unfortunate reality. He's 37 years old. I think even Jesus Molina, and Jesus Molina is not my first option defensive midfielder. As we've talked about, there's Jonathan Dos Santos and there's Gallito. He still did a better job than Rafa Marquez. So if he continues to get a call up, I want him to be a leader in the locker room, and that's about it. And I think hopefully Rafa would be okay with it. I assume he would be the kind of player who'd be okay with that, especially after leading the team for the last 4 World Cups.
He does one pass where it just floats over the whole defense and gets to Layun perfect in his chest, and he did already better than.
Exactly.
Moving on from the Rafa Marquez discussion, another decision that really raised my eyebrows for me by Juan Carlos Osorio was putting Marco Fabian as the striker. What? That to me is madness. That's craziness. That is telling me, please don't ever trust me as the Mexican manager. Having Marco Fabian as your center striker, when you have Lalo Herrera and Raúl Jiménez sitting on your bench, just twiddling their thumbs. You know, who
Johnny, he
puts
was a
Marco
substitute
Fabian?
player.
He took
Osorio.
He was a
has perfect
substitute for Lozano, which was playing on the left wing.
But at the end of the game, was Marco Fabian, when Chicharito comes off the field, is Marco Fabian not the guy left at the center striker position?
I think you just want to hate on Marco Fabian. Let's be honest here, Johnny. I think you just want to hate on Marco Fabian.
Look, I'll tell you something about Marco Fabian. I know you don't like him, Johnny, and you know I've always been kind of also a critic, and I don't see it through the America Google through the eyes, the goggles. But I saw Marco Fabian on the during his practice, and the dude, man, like if I'm looking at and I don't know nothing about the Mexican team, and I'm looking at practice to see who I want on my team, I don't know. Marco Fabian scored like these amazing golazos in practice. Like,
yes, I remember.
I was just like, how did he get that past two defenders and was able to score in, or you know, a pass from? It was just I was like, I don't know. The guy has so much talent, and I know that.
Yes.
And even Chicharito was like, and everyone was like, wow, golazos that he does in practice, and everyone recognizes it. And I'm sure Juan Carlos Osorio was like, this guy's amazing, because he was the most standout player during practice.
I bet he scored plenty of golazos at Chivas practice sessions as well. He scored a chilena against Barcelona in a friendly one summer. But how many times does he bring that magic to the field? He'll bring it once every 5 years, and I don't think that once every 5 years is enough for him to be in the Mexican national team fighting for a spot at a World Cup.
But I get it. I get the fact of why Juan Carlos Osorio put him on there. I mean, if this guy is working this hard and he does, and it's not like he failed. I mean, he did have a
because like you said, like you just said, if you don't know anything about the Mexican national team, you'd think that Marco Fabian is a great player. But to those of us who do know, for those of us who do know the Mexican soccer game, we know Marco Fabian does not produce that kind of quality on the field. So what does this tell us? That Juan Carlos Osorio does not know the Mexican soccer game.
I think if you've seen what he's been doing in Eintracht Frankfurt, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think his call up to the team was justified. I'm not going to say he's a starting player. I don't think Marco Fabian is a starting player, and I wouldn't be bothered if Mexico went the full year without him playing a single minute in the national team. But that being said, I don't think I would criticize Juan Carlos Osorio for giving him a little bit of playing time against Canada when we were already beating Canada. In a game that looked like we were already doing well in a World Cup qualifier. Maybe it has less to do about Marco Fabian and more so just about giving players a break in the last match. As I mentioned, I think as I mentioned, he's done a decent job in Germany. He's just, I don't know. I'm okay with him.
I'm laughing because, hold on a second, I'm laughing at this comentario. Por eso Marco está en Europa y tú, Johnny, estás en Tijuana.
I'm in San Diego, California, the United States of America.
If you're not joining us on the chat, get on your computer right now. It is hilarious. Sometimes I'm not paying attention to the show.
I am definitely not in Tijuana. I am in San Diego, California.
Okay, in San Diego, California. But you're right. People are saying Marco isn't consistent enough.
But Cesar is also right. Cesar is also right about the fact that this is Canada. I think Osorio is testing out his players on the field, and this combination of players, it was the first call for the Osorio area to call Paulo Aguilar, Rafa Marquez, and Marco Fabian. And I think Canada is a great team to test out players against too, definitely. And then he can see if Marco Fabian is going to be of any help in future games. I think it's worth the try. Maybe it's not going to work with this team, but definitely it was worth the try.
I said it in our last episode of the Mexican Soccer Show with our guest John, forgot his last name, that I recognized that Osorio was treating these two Canada games as friendly matches to test out players, and that I completely disagreed with that stance, or with him doing that, because these are games to try and qualify to a World Cup. These are not your Zoom organized friendly matches, money grab games in the U.S. These are qualifiers to the World Cup, and I think Osorio should be taking them a little more seriously and not be testing.
He won 3-0.
But do you agree that Canada is not the same as the States? Playing
right
against
now
Canada is not playing like the States.
The States couldn't even beat Guatemala 2-0. They scored 2 goals in 50 minutes.
And if you get a small chance to test out your players, if you even get a small chance it has to be versus Canada.
Uh,
I think.
I see Johnny's because I like the fact that for some reason I feel that this is going to fall back on us, that we're experimenting with so many, like, we'll be talking about the game for tomorrow, already a different lineup, only 3 players are going to be there. I want to see the same Levin already have that cohesiveness under his program, have that, that playing time that we saw with Piojo's team, and that they knew. I'm not saying comparing that Piojo's team was playing better, but at the same time I want to see that, and maybe this he is the type of player that's saying I'll gamble now so I can instead of looking for auxiliares or watching television to tell me who I should be on my match. I need to know who, and that's why he didn't call Vela. That's why he didn't call Giovanni. That's why he didn't call Ochoa. Because if I think if he was just trying to see everybody big training camp, he would have called them to see how they're playing and how they would react, and he didn't. So I like that his changes. Putting Chucky Lozano in before, which for me, I know he's an amazing, but I don't think he should have been a starter, and he did, and he shut me up, and he scored, and it's been doing that with his subs, in late in the game, and they're doing it. So lots of experiments. Ultimately, everyone's talking about how studious he is and his pens and all of that, and the guy is. I finally saw it with my own eyes how much the guy works. But we'll see how it goes. Again, I'm not jumping on this is the best team that I've seen. We're gonna walk through the hex. Johnny and I mentioned Chepo. Although the difference, I'll give you this right now, the difference between Chepo and Juan Carlos Osorio's games is that, yes, Chepo did not lose a single game in that qualifying round before the hex. But I remember typing, I did an article, and I'll link it up a little later, how I didn't like the way the team was playing, how it was mostly a very lucky goals, that we had problems because the strikers weren't scoring games. It was off a corner, and a defender was able to score, or some kind of tiro libre, or con un rebote. It wasn't these strikers, and we weren't seeing what we're doing now. And even though he was undefeated and it only mattered about the win, I remember there were some people saying we don't like how we're winning, and that's right before the Chepo 2013 Tritanics, what happened and what we saw. So that's the only thing that a difference is that we are playing, we are winning. Nobody scored on us. It's just huge. I think Manuel Lapuente has a record of 5 games without losing in the first as a coach. But we'll see where it goes. Let's take it easy.
Well, like I said, the big test is going to be Copa America because Juan Carlos Osorio is going to be practically the one and only manager that has the permission to take a full Mexico squad, the best Mexico players, to a Copa America. All other managers have had to take reserve teams to Copa America, and we've done pretty poorly there. So I think the pressure is on Osorio to show me that he's the right man for the job at Copa America, because I have strong doubts right now.
So here's actually a question for all of you guys. Like, what would you guys say is a respectable, or like, what would you say is at where Mexico could finish or should finish at the least in the Copa America?
Third place.
Third place at
finalist.
The least.
Yeah.
Finalist.
I would think a third place would be ideal. That's where I would now. If as obviously, I mean, you have your high. I don't think they're gonna win the Copa. I'd be really surprised if they are. But I think a third place match, what they did in 2007, I think that would be where we should hope for. And to set the bar low, of course, getting out of their group. If you don't get out of your group in that Copa America, then it's a fracaso. And getting to that semifinal match.
For me, it would be the same. Not actually the third, but definitely a bronze medal contender. Could be third, fourth. But what we have seen doesn't show that the Mexican team has more to get further. So definitely a contender for the bronze medal game. Yeah, it's gonna be.
And Mexico has made the final twice in Copa America, and I think the Mexican national team has way more talent right now than it ever did in those 1993 and the Copa America in Colombia. I'm forgetting which year, but it made the final twice, and I think this group of Mexican players are way more talented, and they have what it takes to. This is the best chance Mexico ever has had to win a Copa America. It's in the U.S. They have the most. So I think of making the finals the bare minimum that Juan Carlos Osorio can do. to prove to me that he's the right man for the Mexico job.
Yeah.
Mexico is obviously going to be the home team. Like, we're not going to say it's the United States. Mexico is going to be the home team in this competition. That being said, I think I'd be happy just making it to semifinals because there's a strong chance if we do make it into the next round, we would probably, I should say, Mexico would probably play either Argentina or Chile immediately after the group stage. And that's all I'm going to say. That's going to be really tough either way. Whether it be somewhere where that game is either in Los Angeles or Phoenix or Chicago, that's a tough task.
That game would go if they get first place, it'll go to San Francisco over there in Levi Stadium. If they don't, I think they go to New Jersey. And we'll see how that goes. So interesting to see. I like it. Comparing those teams and you've seen that. Van por buen camino. I think so. I'm not complaining, as much as I was earlier when Juan Carlos Osorio, and many people have brought it up. You said Juan Carlos Osorio was horrible for the manager job. I still think that he should have been called as a coach. What did he do? But he's doing his job and he's doing it well. Let's talk about the game for tomorrow. If you're still before we do that, do something really fun that we did on another shows. I'm sorry if you're listening to this on Tuesday or Wednesday from iTunes or something else, but all of you guys that are on the chat, take a screenshot of where you're looking at or a picture with your phone. Tell us how you're listening to the show. There'll be a prize to whoever has us in the largest TV because we see some
prize. Are we rewarding the most wealthy members of our
we're
followers? Reward someone with like the smallest TV actually.
No,
whoever
I
has
the largest TV in your living room, right, or wherever. I mean, if you could put it on some kind of like projector, you'll win a prize. And that way you tell your family that you're watching the Mexican soccer show. It's not like you're in your room, wherever. They'll win a prize. So do it right now. Take a picture, regardless if it's in your computer or you're watching it through your phone or something. Take a picture and tweet it to us, and we'll retweet your tweets and make it fun. Before we go into the game for tomorrow and talk about that, I want to definitely give some shout out to the Pancho Villa's Army guys who, if you really wanted to go to the game in San Diego and Atlanta, please go to the website, buy the tickets. I'll tell you right now, they're doing an amazing job. It's so much cheaper to go through PVA than going through Ticketmaster. You get your tickets. You're in the section where the Mexican supporter section is, and you only have, I think, till April, beginning of April. So please make sure to go into their website if you're still looking tickets for Atlanta. If you're looking tickets for San Diego, they're playing against Chile and they're bringing their A squad. It's going to be a great match before the Copa America. So please, guys, do a little plug for them. Don't be left out with tickets. I know a lot of people were kind of left out on the Copa Oro and all of that, but always they haven't sold out yet. So they already sold out for the Copa America games, I know, in Phoenix and I think Houston also. So get a little plug in for them. Go to panchovillasarmy.com. So great. Let's go ahead and talk about tomorrow. The game. There is another game. I feel like this return, but it's because of the qualifiers. Now we're on the back end of the qualifiers, but scheduling a game on Friday and then Tuesday, a little risky, I thought, especially for the players, but for all the media. All right, we have to have a little break. No. But it's true. The game is tomorrow. Our very own Naib Moran was at the Centro de Alto Rendimiento. Cesar, you listened and you watched the press conference. Tell us the most notable news from Juan Carlos Osorio for today's press conference at the CAR.
So the first thing that I think that we should mention is the fact that Rafa Marquez will not be starting tomorrow. Osorio said that it was mostly due to an injury, but I think whether it was an injury or not, after that last performance, I don't think we would be seeing him play either way. He mentioned he brought up Raul Jimenez. He said that he would like to see him play. We'll see whether he's starting or not, but it'll be interesting to see where he actually plays tomorrow and whether he actually takes, if he does start, whether he would take Chicharito's position or if he plays one of those winger positions. And although he's not entirely a winger, I feel like he's hardworking enough in that 4-3-3 formation. We could potentially have an influence right there. And then I think the other notable thing is that he did not guarantee that Talavera will be starting tomorrow. And he said that Choi Corona or Picolin are both in competition. He didn't just say, as I mentioned, it's not just Choi Corona. He specifically mentioned Picolino as well, saying that he's going to be in competition for that spot for the starting goalkeeper role, and that he is not going to make a decision on who will start until tomorrow. So other than that, just it seems like
And
we should expect changes tomorrow. It's going to be a different squad. At the very least, you're not going to see Rafa Marquez. I think you're going to see one different. I feel like you could see one different player in each position. Like maybe you'll see one, not every individual position, but like in the forward line, the midfield line, the defensive line. But you're definitely going to see some changes tomorrow.
And I like and I dislike with what you just said about the goalkeepers. And I like the fact that it's still an open competition, because we all know clearly that Ochoa is the best Mexican goalkeeper, and it should be Ochoa starting there. So
He's
that kind
started
of
two
puts it in
games. He's only started 2 games so far this season.
yes, but that still does not that's still not an argument for why
Left
he's
out.
not the best. Yeah, because he's still the best Mexican goalkeeper. Whether he
Johnny,
started
Ceci doesn't
one,
know
two,
about
zero,
your
or
Memo Ochoa obsession, so might as well just ease her in.
Well,
yeah.
I can imagine.
Also, yeah. Also, that's the why I like that statement from the press conference. I dislike it because, like I just said, I don't think these games are meant to be experimental. I think Osorio should have his starting lineup figured out, and I think it should be that starting lineup starting.
I think that's Osorio, though. We've talked about this before in the past when he was
Mhm.
first hired, that he's the kind of coach who likes to filter through players. He likes to have them switch through. And I think
Rotation.
rotation, essentially, yeah, that's what I meant to say. That's a better way of describing it. Um, and I think when Mexico essentially, I mean, you look, I did the math, and I could be entirely wrong because math was actually my worst subject in school. I was a great student, but math was my worst. But Mexico essentially only needs 1 point in these last 3 games in order to qualify for the hexagonal round, the final hexagonal round. So I don't really blame Osorio that much for being willing to change the formation a little bit, especially at home in the Azteca.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it. I know that the only players that are supposedly hearing from the media that's down there, we'll only see Chicharito, Guardado, and Hector Moreno start. Everything else will be changed. So I don't know how factual that is. But at the same time, it will surprise me if it's just, if he repeats. Like, Osorio is not a piojo. You don't know what he's going to do. As much as he doesn't have the friends that tweet out the give us the starting 11. I think 3 days before it was already projected these are starting 11, and I don't think those players were even there. Chucky Lozano was a huge surprise. So please wait for the starting 11. I think until I took the picture of the starting lineup and I was like, wow, Chucky Lozano's starting. So interesting to see. We'll see tomorrow. Before we go, we'll actually talk a little bit about the Trio Olímpico really quick. And what do you expect to see tomorrow? Do we have to? What do you expect to see tomorrow? In your scoreline for everybody. So we'll start with the ladies. What do you think tomorrow? What's the prediction? That's Ceci, if for those that don't know.
Well, definitely.
and-
What I would like to see is another 3-0. However, I don't think it's gonna happen. As you said, they just played on Friday, and it's gonna be a little bit hard. Obviously, more for Canadian players to get used to the altitude, to get used to the level of pollution. Actually, they were talking about that. I don't know if they were trying to make excuses because they were saying that the pollution in Mexico is really bad, which is true, but I don't know if that would be a huge factor. But definitely, Mexico is gonna win. I think 2-0.
There it is, 2-0. Cesar?
The manager of Canada earlier today said that maybe perhaps foolishly that he's going to go for an all-out attack against Mexico tomorrow. I think through that he's probably going to find one goal, but I think that might be kind of dangerous, especially against Mexico at home when Mexico has a lot of talent. I think a lot of it also has to depend on who the starting players are going to be tomorrow. So I'm going to stick with a 3-1 or 4-1 win for Mexico.
Was a huge goalkeeping mistake for that one, right?
Yeah, Picolín, it would just hit him in the back of the head off a corner.
Hey,
Because
no,
obviously,
no, that's not gonna happen.
Ceci's a
That's
cool
not
fan.
gonna happen.
Now,
No.
I know Picolin is having, his good moment in his career. He might even deserve to be Mexico's number 3 goalkeeper. But let's not forget that he's a Picolin after all, and we can expect Picolin things out of him, which, means big mess ups.
Well, I don't even
saying he's
think
number 3, you
Picolin
put
is
him
gonna
above
get to
Ochoa?
play. I don't think he's gonna
No.
get to play anyway. I think Osorio is gonna go for the other option, but we'll see. You never know.
I mean, you think Osorio would rather go for the experienced option, who's actually captain the national team, as opposed to the guy who hasn't played a single minute? That doesn't make sense.
Well,
So,
there you
I didn't
go.
hear,
Like we
what
said,
was your scoreline, Johnny?
Johnny, I think I'm gonna go with the same 2-0 like Cecilia said. I think I'm calling BS on with that full out attack for Canada. I think they're gonna park the bus and yeah, Mexico wins 2-0.
2-0. I don't think it's gonna be like a huge out blowout like people are expecting after the 3-0. Now they're in the Azteca. Yeah, I think they're gonna park the bus, and I'm excited to see a team park the bus to see how Juan Carlos Osorio goes over there, right? Because
Yeah.
that's
That's a
what
good
we're
point,
gonna
actually.
see. We're gonna
That's a
see
good
in
point.
the hex. Sometimes I have them. We're gonna see in the hex lots of parking the bus. What people don't understand is that it's a different game from this qualifying round to the hex. This round you have to get wins. You have to win in order to go to the next round because only 2 out of the 4 are make it in your group. So you can't just lay back and win at home and tie at home. Like you actually have to win at home and win on the road in order to get in. Although otherwise someone's going to do it because there's only 2 spots. When you get to the hex, you could just park the bus in Mexico and park the bus when you're away, and you'll be able to get in if you get 3 or 4 games. I think the matching number is 17 points or 16 points. So it's a different game. I want to see what Canada does, and I want to see if they're tall players, they're physical players. Some of them do play in big leagues in Europe, but I want to see what Osorio can do if it's not just the Chepo 4-4-2 ball around up behind the defenders and looking for Chicharito. I don't think there's going to be that many spaces that he's going to give out, but who knows? También Benito Floro can surprise you. Funny, he's a. I was interviewing him. He's a great guy. He called me out for asking him a question in English. He's like, Spanish. Why don't you talk to me in Spanish? It's kind of funny. Everyone's asking questions in English, and I asked a question in English, and he's like, "You're from Mexico. Why did you ask me in Spanish?" Because the translator butchered my question before, so I asked in English. And
She was not accurate at all. She didn't know what Wisa was asking, and she was translating a complete different thing. And then Benito Floro said, "Why didn't ask that question in Spanish if you speak Spanish?" And we were like, "Well, how can we explain to you that this is a show in English?" But anyway,
he got a really cool we got a really cool moment after the end, and he even apologized to me. We had a good 2-minute conversation about it. But cool, great guy. So we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely expecting a win. Hopefully it's not a tie. But I want to see that pressure. I want to see what Mexico and Juan Carlos Osorio can do with that. But so I'm gonna say 2-0 too. I don't know. I don't see that many goals. I see 2-0. Also, we'll go with that.
Nice.
Switch it over really quick. I know we're already approaching our hour mark. El Trio Olímpico played today in Portugal in their practice matches that they're doing for the Olympic team. A lot of people are saying there's 6 players that are missing, guys. But not only did they lost 4-0. And I know that we shouldn't be making a big deal. You're right, we shouldn't. This is just exhibition, and they're training and they're friendlies, and they're still missing some players, important players. I understand that, but losing 4-0 in any game is still pretty bad. So we should have put some heat on them. It's not like it's the end of the world. We'll see what happens. But what can you tell us, or Johnny?
I'd like to dedicate this 4-0 result to the guy who on Twitter who was telling me that Gudinho's going to be the starting goalkeeper in Russia 2018.
Oh yeah.
And I told him he's not even the starter for the Mexican Olympic team. Gibran Lahur of Tijuana Xolos is the starting goalkeeper in that team. And today when Gudinho got to play, well, there's a result.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
I don't think we should worry. Okay, it's not like the end of the world. They're going through this. They're looking for a team. I think we've seen that before, especially with 3 Olympic teams. We can we'll see what happens. We still have to incorporate the seniors. We still have to incorporate some of the youngsters that are not playing there. But a 4-0 is pretty bad. Hopefully, El Potro Gutierrez can see and can see what happened, and if it was a travel, if it was a team, however it can be, and we'll see that. Cesar, are there any more
No,
games, or is this
it was just those two. Mexico lost. I mean, both the games were in Portugal. They lost to Japan 2-1, and then they lost to Portugal 4-0. I think there are a lot of variables. There's a lot of. It's just 2 matches. There are a lot of players missing. Both these games were played in Portugal too. I feel like it'd be dangerous to make a lot of assumptions out of these 2 games. But that being said, this is Mexico who's supposed to be defending that gold medal. This isn't some team who's supposed to be competing and like hopefully they'll do well. No, Mexico's going into this hoping to defend that gold medal. So yeah, I know. But that being said, as I mentioned, it's just I think we still have to be careful. I mean, I don't know if I know a single person who actually watched the entirety of those 180 minutes. I did not watch a single bit. I don't think any of us
I did
and
not.
I think
I did
I
not.
don't think anybody actually watched any of the footage for any of those matches. So I think it's fascinating sometimes. A lot of us who are like making these assumptions about these games when no one has watched a single minute. But yeah. That being said, let's obviously it's not a good result. Yeah.
There it is. All right. Well, there we go. We'll see what happens, and we'll see what they add. I'm still saying I think it's going to be Guardado and Chicharito and Memo Ochoa to the Olympic team. That is my prediction, and Johnny's going to be very happy.
Cool.
Watch Ochoa not start for the Olympic team, but we'll see. All right, guys. Thank you to all. Really, really great turnout on today's show. We almost had 100 people live watching this show at one point. So I thank you all. We saw lots already. A lot of the pictures that are coming out from you guys that are watching it. We'll pick out the winner and see
awesome.
what we can do. I want to thank our guests. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Cesar, and especially thank you, Ceci, for really not only helping me out over there when my tripod broke. Those videos that come out, do you think people are just putting record and that's it? No, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes with the videos we do for the Mexican Soccer Show. And my tripod broke on the day of. So Ceci and her strong, triathlon body helped, totally. She was a winner and holding all the camera and my microphone and everything. So thank you, Ceci. We couldn't have done it without you there.
My pleasure. It was great to be with you guys in the show.
Yeah, we got to hang out afterwards with Tom and with Pancho Villa's Army, and I went to bed at like 1, and these guys stayed out with being responsible, and I had to fly out early in the morning. But I'm sure you guys had a lot of fun.
Wait, so was there any swimmers in this trip?
No swimmers in this trip. No swimmers in this trip.
I don't want to ask.
You don't want to ask. You don't want to ask.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. You really shouldn't. We should just end the show.
Guys, thank you so much to all of you. Thank you so much to all of you that are on the chat. Edgar Lara, Alex, John, Welito, all the Pancho Villa's Armies guys. Eddie V, John Cervantes, Mr. Goofy Network, whoever that is, and Johnny Rico is also on the chat. But and then all of you guys that are watching us through on other days that you can watch it live on Tuesday, Wednesday. We really thank you. Please subscribe. We ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and also our Facebook. Try to share as much as you can. We're trying to grow and do this for you guys. As we would love to do this for every match. I couldn't be there in Mexico. Naib is there, but our focus is to be there in every single one of the matches, giving you guys all the insights and communicating all of the news and chismes and rumors that we see that are there, guys. So thank you to all. This has been another Mexican soccer show. And we'll actually have a post show after probably on Wednesday or Thursday, talking about the game that happened, and obviously Liga MX is back, so I'm sure you guys are excited. Chivas scheduled, everyone's making a big deal. Chivas scheduled for those of you that are in the East Coast, that are going to be watching Chivas until 1 a.m. So sorry, but they changed it now. It's a night game, so Liga MX is trying to steal the spotlight from the Mexican national teams. you know, it's what they like to do. But thank you again, Cesar. Thank you again, Johnny. Thank you again, Cesar. And
Thank you.
Ceci. And this has been another episode of the Mexican Soccer Show. Adios, amigos. Nos vemos.